Thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. Today I'm going to be talking to you about 3 things to make a successful claim with the VA for compensation, disability compensation. So the 3 things to get you to a solid rating, whatever you deserve, right? So if you deserve a 10% for that specific condition, or a 30, or a 40, or a 50, or a 70, or whatever it is, there's 3 main things that you need to make sure you have in order to get a successful claim through. So if that's something you're interested in, hit the like button, subscribe, share with a friend. It really helps increase the awareness and get this information pushed out. So with that, when you're talking about VA claims, and I'm going to stay focused on active duty folks, there's 3 main things, and I've talked about it in prior videos, but I just want to hammer this point home. One is you need to have active duty time. That active duty time creates a window of opportunity from the date that you get in to the date that you get out. Now there is one caveat that I've left down of other videos, and that is you actually have a 1-year period after your discharge date for some presumptive conditions that the VA will just presume or assume are service connected. So they will basically fold those back into your window of opportunity. But for the most part, you're looking at the date you entered to the date you exit. That's number 1. So everything with the VA is considered a legal process, and your claim goes through an adjudication process, and you can appeal it, and you can take it all the way through to the Board of Appeals, where a judge will actually make a determination on your claim. So it is a legal process, and so everything that you submit is considered evidence. So with that in mind, keeping in mind of the idea of evidence, we would need to support our claim as we're filing it. The VA is not really going to do you any favors in this regard. There is the VA's duty to assist. However, do not rely on that, because people are people, and in some cases, you're not going to be able to, it won't be expedited in some cases. So what you want to do is make sure that you have your DD-214 to prove your time in service, right? Or DD-214s. Now, here's another caveat. Let's say that you have a period of time, you did 8 years, and it was 2 4-year enlistments. Let's say your first one was good. Your second one, you didn't quite make it through, and you ended up getting kicked out of the military for whatever reason. So that would be a bad period of service, but you can still file a claim on your good period of service. So don't think that you cannot file claims. Also, in regard to filing claims and showing that time in service, the VA also has the ability to do discharge upgrades for VA purposes. Okay, this is important. You can also do upgrades on your discharge paperwork through the DOD, with your specific branch. But if you're just trying to get some VA benefits, this is also an opportunity that's often overlooked. A good example is you were a great military member, whatever branch, right? So whether it's Navy, Marine Corps, what have you, it's different names. So I served both Marine Corps and the Army, so that's why I got my two little shadow boxes there. So what you want to look at is, let's say, for an example, somebody joins, they were great, and then they go overseas, seen some not so great things, they come back, they never quite transition back, maybe they start to drink a little more, they have PTSD, but they don't know it. They're drinking to kind of self-medicate. They're AWOL, or they come back and they punch out their CO, whatever, and they end up getting kicked out. You can look at that and go, okay, well, looking back in time, hindsight's 20/20. Here's the story, and that story may make sense. The VA then looks and goes, you know what, you do have PTSD, and this explains a lot of that behavior, and maybe they will open up some VA benefits for you in that case. So upgrading your character of discharge for VA benefits is a great avenue that, again, is often overlooked. So that first piece is time in service, right? So it's got to be good time in service, or you have to get that upgrade for VA purposes. Number two is a diagnosis, right? We can say all day long, right? Veterans are really good at self-diagnosing. No, that doesn't mean anything. The VA doesn't care. You actually need to go to a physical doctor and have them diagnose you. Now, here's my take on diagnosis. When a doctor diagnoses you for whatever it is, if they want to prescribe you something, say yes and get that prescription. Whether you physically take that prescription or not is up to you, right? If you want to rub dirt on it, suffer a little bit, drink water and move on, do that. But let them prescribe you, because it does two things. In some cases, not all, but in some cases, the VA claim that you're filing, the condition you're filing for, in the schedule of ratings may have a different percentage higher if you have a medication prescribed for that condition. Now, just because you choose to ignore the doctor and you choose to rub some dirt on it and you choose to live a harder life because you're not taking the medication, that's on you. But if the doctor says your condition needs a medication, you better say yes and let them prescribe it. And in my opinion, then that's what you should be given, right? The rating that's associated with that schedule of rating outlay, where it says that if you have a prescription for that, then you should get this percentage. That's just my own kind of personal belief on that. So that's the second piece, a diagnosis. You must have a diagnosis. And the two things with the prescription, one, it helps with your VA rating, potentially, depending on what condition it is. The other reason why you want to get a prescription is it helps validate your diagnosis. So again, everything is evidence, so it's another piece of evidence for you. Now, when we're talking about evidence, you're putting all this stuff in your file to submit with your claim prior to sending off your claim, right? You're going to package it all up and send it. So that's the number two thing. Number three thing is what we call a nexus, the link between your time in service and that condition. Now, it's not that the military caused it. It's simply that it manifested during your time in service. Ideally, you got diagnosed while you were in service, right? Inside that window of opportunity, enter date, exit date. If you did not, maybe in your records somewhere, there is some sort of a mention of signs, symptoms, some sort of a complaint about something prior to a diagnosis, right? Man, I'm really having bad bouts of heartburn. Well, that's a sign of GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. So if you mentioned it anywhere in your medical records, your service treatment records, then that becomes the nexus, right? That's, you're pointing back to get that time and saying, look, I complained about it there. In some cases, there's a lot of cases, during your annual health assessment or your exit evaluation, there is a form, it's 2 or 3 pages long with a bunch of check marks. Have you now or have you ever experienced X, Y, or Z? And it could say, painful swollen joints, back pain, headaches, tuberculosis, heartburn, what have you, and it just goes on. And you say yes, no, or not applicable, and you check all the boxes. Hopefully at some point through your time in the military, you actually said yes to some of the things that you have. We've been trained to say no, but hopefully when you were getting ready to get out, you decided, I'm going to throw in a few yeses because I'm getting out anyway. So if you did that, then that is your nexus, right? So that's the next strongest thing. The third thing is you don't have anything in your medical records, so you have to start trying to make a bridge back. That bridge back could be family members writing letters about you experiencing signs, symptoms to that specific condition. Could be your doctor writing a Nexus letter, simply stating that they believe that your condition is at least likely to has not, or at least likely is not to have occurred during your time in service. Buddy statements, people that knew you when you were in, that can write statements stating, or attesting to their knowledge of you suffering from whatever condition you have. So that would kind of be the third way. So those are the three things: active duty time, diagnosed condition, and the nexus. Put those three things together, send off your claim, then you got to be prepared for the C&P exam, and that's in another video. So that, though, those three things should get your claim approved. So with that, I'll let you go. I appreciate you, and remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.